When we think about Henry VIII, the first thing that often comes to mind is his boldness, his 6 marriages, and his larger-than-life personality. But beyond the drama of his personal life, one of his most significant contributions to the British monarchy was his assertion of royal supremacy. You see, Henry lived in a time when the Pope in Rome wielded enormous influence over kings and nations. The idea that a king could challenge the church was directly almost unthinkable. The defining moments came when Henry wanted an annulment from Catherine of Aragon because she could not provide a male heir. The Pope refused. Instead of backing down, Henry took matters into his own hands. Through a series of laws passed in Parliament, he broke away from the Roman Catholic Church and declared himself the supreme head of the Church of England. This was formalized in 1534 with the Act of Supremacy. At that moment, Henry was no longer just a king who ruled lands and collected taxes. He became the ultimate authority in both political and religious matters in England. This change was monumental. By removing the Pope's influence, Henry not only consolidated power for the monarchy, but he also changed the very way England would be governed. It gave future monarchs a precedent for authority over both state and church, a principle that would echo through the centuries. And it was not just about control. The dissolution of monasteries allowed Henry to seize their wealth, which strengthened the crown financially and allowed him to reward loyal supporters. Henry's assertion of supremacy also sent a clear message to his subjects. The king's words and law were supreme. It reshaped the balance of power in England and set the stage for the political and religious developments that would follow for generations. His decision was risky, controversial, and transformative, a defining moment in the history of the British monarchy. After asserting his supremacy, Henry VIII set England on a path of religious transformation that would last for centuries. Breaking from the Roman Catholic Church was not a merely personal decision. It changed the spiritual landscape of the entire nation. Henry established the Church of England, or Anglican Church, with himself as a head. This was revolutionary because it shifted the ultimate religious authority from a distant pope in Rome to the English monarch. Henry's new church allowed him to control not only spiritual matters, but also economic and political resources. The dissolution of monasteries, which had been centers of wealth, education, and charity, meant that the crown could redistribute land and money to loyal nobles and courtiers. This strengthened the monarchy's power and created a new class of supporters who owed their prosperity directly to the king. Yet, Henry's religious changes were not purely political. They also caused deep social tensions. Many people remained loyal to the Catholic Church, and these divisions sometimes erupted into rebellion. The Pilgrimage of Grace, a large uprising in northern England in 1536, showed that the king's reforms were not universally accepted. Henry responded firmly, demonstrating that royal authority could override tradition and popular opinion. Henry's religious reforms also had long-term effects on future monarchs. His son Edward VI pushed the church further towards Protestantism, while Mary I attempted to restore Catholicism, and Elizabeth I ultimately established a moderate Anglican church that survives today. By initiating the split from Rome, Henry laid the foundation for these later religious battles. His legacy shows how a single ruler's decision can reshape an entire nation's spiritual identity. Henry VIII's reign was not only transformative in religion, but also in politics. By asserting his supremacy over the church, he effectively centralized power in the monarchy. No longer were kings simply rulers among the nobility. Henry made it clear that ultimate authority rested with the crown. Parliament played a crucial role in this shift, as it passed laws that recognized the king as the supreme head of the Church of England. This was more than a ceremonial. It established a legal precedent for royal authority over both state and church. The redistribution of monastic lands after the dissolution of monasteries also strengthened the crown's political base. Henry rewarded nobles and courtiers who supported his reforms, creating a network of loyalty that reinforced his power. By controlling land, wealth, and appointments, the king could influence both local and national politics. This strategic use of patronage became a model for future monarchs, showing how political skill could secure the throne beyond mere inheritance. Henry's personal style of rule further amplified his authority. He projected an image of absolute power, often using displays of wealth, pageantry, and military strength to assert dominance. Executions of dissenters and rivals, including high-profile figures like Thomas More and Anne Boleyn, underscored his willingness to reinforce his will and reminded everyone that the king's decisions were final. This consolidation of authority had long-term consequences for the British monarchy. Future rulers would navigate a landscape in which the crown was a central political force, balancing parliament, nobility, and emerging social forces. Henry's reign demonstrated the potential and limits of personal power, and his political legacy still influences the monarchy's structure and traditions today. One of Henry VIII's most lasting legacies is a profound transformation of religion in England. By breaking away from the Roman Catholic Church and establishing the Church of England, Henry not only changed the spiritual landscape but also laid the foundation for a distinct English national identity. Before the Reformation, religious authority in England was largely dictated by the Pope in Rome. By declaring himself the supreme head of the Church of England, Henry transferred ultimate spiritual and political power to the crown, making faith a tool of governance and a symbol of national unity. The dissolution of monasteries and redistribution of church lands were significant in shaping both society and economy. Wealth and property that had once supported religious institutions were now redirected to the crown and loyal subjects, creating a new class of powerful landowners. This not only weakened the influence of traditional religious authorities, but also encouraged social and economic mobility for those aligned with the king's vision. Henry's reforms also had cultural consequences. Art, literature, and architecture began reflecting distinctly English themes rather than being dominated by Roman Catholic influence. The monarch became the focal point of religious devotion and national loyalty, reinforcing the idea that loyalty to the crown and to England itself was inseparable. However, these changes were not universally welcomed. The Reformation sparked resistance from those who remained loyal to Catholicism and led to periods of religious conflict that would echo through English history for decades. Despite this, Henry's actions fundamentally shaped England's identity, strengthening the monarchy while simultaneously redefining the relationship between ruler, religion, and people. Henry VIII's reign not only reshaped politics and religion, but also left a lasting imprint on English society and culture. By centralizing power and controlling religious life, he affected how people viewed authority, social order, and their own place within the kingdom. The creation of a strong, centralized monarchy influenced social hierarchy, with the king at the apex, and emphasized loyalty as a civic and moral duty. Education and intellectual life were also influenced by Henry's reign. The Reformation encouraged the translation of religious texts into English, most notably the Bible, which became accessible to ordinary people. This shift increased literacy and fostered a sense of national identity as English replaced Latin in religious and administrative life. Humanist scholars flourished under Henry's patronage, producing works that combined classic learning with contemporary religious thoughts. Cultural expression, including arts, music, and architecture, reflected the changes of the time. The monarchy became a center of patronage, commissioning grand palaces, tapestries, and portraits that showcased royal power and personal image. Fashion and courtly etiquette, influenced by Henry's preferences, set standards that shaped English nobility and the emerging upper classes. Yet, these cultural and social changes were intertwined with repression. Those who opposed Henry's religious policies, including scholars and clergy, risked punishment or execution. This dual legacy of cultural flourishing and strict control highlights the complex nature of Henry's impact. He was both a patron of progress and a figure whose authority demanded obedience. The reign of Henry VIII left a permanent mark on the British monarchy, influencing political, religious, and cultural life for centuries. Politically, he established the model of a strong, centralized monarchy with the king at the center of governance. This precedent empowered later monarchs to consolidate authority, negotiate with the parliaments, and manage the complex relationship between the crown and emerging state institutions. Religiously, the break from Rome created the Church of England and set the stage for centuries of religious transformation and conflicts. Henry's decision regarding succession and marriage not only shaped the line of rulers, but also demonstrated how the monarchy could directly influence religious and moral life in England. His reign made it clear that personal decisions of the monarch could have profound national consequences. Culturally, Henry's patronage of art, architecture, and learning left an enduring impression from the grand palaces he commissioned to the English Bible that transformed literacy and religious practice. The marks of his reign can still be seen in institutions, cultural norms, and historical memory. Socially, his reign prompted shifts in gender roles, courtly life, and the perception of royal authority. Ultimately, Henry VIII's legacy is complex. He was a ruler of ambition and vision, capable of both fostering cultural achievements and enforcing strict control. The monarchy he shaped, the religious structures he altered, and the cultural patterns he influenced continue to guide England through the Elizabethan era and beyond. Understanding Henry VIII's legacy is crucial for appreciating how the British monarchy evolved into the institution recognized today.